at 6 o'clock, we're going to start the meeting. This is the City Plan Commission. We are in City Hall Council Chambers. It is June 6, 2023. Second item on the agenda is the minutes of the previous meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the minutes of the May 2nd, 2023 meeting. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have a public hearing beginning at 6 o'clock, which is now. Tom, will you please read the public hearing notice?
This is the notice of public hearing that was posted on May 15, 2023. All persons interested will be given an opportunity to be heard at a public hearing to be held by and before the City Plan Commission of the City of Merrill, Wisconsin, commencing at 6 p.m. on Tuesday, June 6, 2023, in the City Hall Council Chambers, 1004 East 1st Street, Merrill, Wisconsin, on the following proposed matter. To wit, 1, Frank Romano, Best Share Mining LLC, requesting a conditional use for a data mining center at 400 South Guy Street per Merrill Municipal Code 113-100, located in the City of Merrill, Lincoln County, Wisconsin, legally described in PIN number 251-3106-182-0216. Anyone having any questions regarding the hearing should contact Zoning Administrator Darren Poggle at 536-4880. It is dated May 15, 2023, and signed by Lori Anderson, Law in the City Clerk.
You want to speak first? No. I'll entertain a motion to open the hearing.
Make a motion.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second to open the hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is now open. Anyone here to speak for or against the proposed data mine?
Do we know what it is?
This is Frank Romano.
Okay, Mr. Romano. Mr. Romano, you can speak if you like.
Okay. So I guess I'm just wondering what conditions the city would like to propose for us to operate. And I'm assuming that the sound was the main question. So we're willing to operate basically within the original zoning requirements of a industrial manufacturing and not exceed any noise limits there. And I'm open to answering any questions that anybody has about the operation.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
This is Darren Poggle, building inspector. How long have you been operating at that location?
So we've been, we've had all of our equipment moved in and ready to expand as far as the exterior fans go, waiting on the approval from you guys. So I know that the issue was any exterior noise. So we're moved in and just waiting for approval to install any exhaust fans on the outside if that gets approved.
The issue was not necessarily any exterior noise. The issue was the actual use itself that needs a conditional use, which the city plan can put conditions upon that. So you weren't supposed to move anything in until you had actual approval from the city.
Right, and yep, so we had moved in everything in anticipation of getting approval and have been waiting on the approval or waiting on this process basically.
So again, when did you move everything in then?
Everything has been moved in, I believe, about four or 5 months ago.
All right, because I had sent you a letter back in October, and that you needed to apply for conditional use by November 1st of last year. And on November 18th, you sent me an email that says that you weren't going to move in until January and February if you had approval, as long as you've had approval. And tonight is the first time that the city plan has brought this to hearing.
Right, so we're sort of talking about two different things here. One is the moving in of the equipment in anticipation of getting an approval, and if that approval is denied, we will move our equipment back out. And the equipment that was in before that email, it was the main bulk of the equipment. So I'm talking about the secondary part, which is the fans, and was waiting on the approval to put any fans in.
So you haven't been operating any of the equipment to this point?
Nope, none of the fans have been installed. We've just been,
not-
everything is inside the building and ready to go, but we're not doing any kind of.
I'm not talking about the fans, Mr. Romano. I'm talking about the rest of the equipment that's in the building. So you haven't been operating any of that to this point, the computers and all of that?
The computers have been running just regular, like a regular internet connection. Are you talking about the Bitcoin miner?
The data mining, the operation of the actual business has not been operating at all up to today.
No, that has been operating inside the building.
Adjournment.
Hold on, Steve, let Karen
Okay.
finish.
So it has been operating inside the building.
Yeah, so the computers that we have inside the building have been, I've been sending emails and different, just regular office type things.
No data mining at all?
No, we've just been setting everything up, getting ready for, so we've had all of our equipment has been installed and ready to go. And if that does not get approved, we can move to a different location. But so yes, we have turned on our equipment to test it, see if everything is installed correctly. I had an electrician out that had, this was back in October, before I realized that there was going to be an issue with the zoning.
Mr. Romano? Mr. Romano, can you hear me?
Yeah.
My name is
Yeah.
Steve Sabatke. I'm on the committee here. I'm also the alderman representing the people of the district that you have the factory in. I was taking my grandchildren on that trail, which is next to property, and I heard a very distinct humming coming from the building. Can you tell me what that humming noise is in there, please?
Yeah, so there's an exhaust fan that was previously installed with the previous business owner, the Semco. And are you talking about on the back trail?
Yeah, back
There's
trail.
like
by
an
where the-
exhaust fan?
You know where it's very near the trail by the windows, I could hear a distinct humming coming from the building. And I've taken the trail
Yeah,
before, I haven't heard that humming before,
that-
so.
That's nothing that we installed. It was, as we've been working inside the building, we've turned that fan on to cool it down since there's no air conditioning in there.
Okay, it doesn't sound like a fan noise to me, but I'll take your word for it. I have some other questions if you would. Are you familiar with the city's noise regulations for decibel output?
Yeah, so I talked to the chief of police and the administrator. I think they were co-administrating at the time. And they recommended that they would come out and use like a sound decibel meter at maybe 100 yards or something like that from the building to verify that we were going to be within that, because they had Merrill had some kind of an issue with a previous like a restaurant or something like that that had installed some fans.
Well, yeah, it's just a noise. It could be for stereos, it could be for, for anything. The commercial decibel rating is a bit higher than a residential. You would be allowed no more than 75 decibels at night. That's about equivalent to, and I have a chart here, to about busy city traffic. I represent the people that live on Logan Street, which is just on the other side of the railroad tracks. And I think I would get a few phone calls at 75 decibels. What do you predict for the noise output to be in when you reach maximum operation?
I believe when we measured it, it was in the 45 to 50 range from the outside.
That's right now.
So,
But you don't have any equipment running.
and so, right. So no, I turned on the equipment to see. So when I talked to the chief of police, and he said something about that he thought it was 75 decibels. We turned it on and tested to see how close that would be, and I believe it was 45 or 48. And all that we're asking is that we can operate within whatever the previous SCEMCO plant was, the manufacturing plant was given.
When you measure that, you're outside. You measure
I'm
that.
sorry?
You measure that decibel level outside. The ordinance states by the property line, which would be somewhere by the railroad tracks.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, we measured it
All right.
outside the building at different distances. And I mean, I would be more than happy to come out and we can turn everything on, test it out, and figure out if there's going to be any kind of a noise issue.
But we need
As part of
assurances
the
that
conditional use.
Who,
Yep.
Mr. Romano, who did you measure that with?
With the owner of the building.
Not the police chief.
No, not the police chief. The police chief was the one that mentioned, hey, we can come out with or we can send somebody out, or we can come out with our sound grader, and then we just asked the owner of the building, had a noise meter, and he tested it and said that that was the range that he gave me, that like 45, 48.
This is Robert Ryman on the committee as well, and in your application, you stated we would specifically like to operate in large warehouse at the property so we don't have to install exhaust fans that smaller properties may need. I thought you just mentioned installing exhaust fans.
Yep, so we can do it either way. We can operate if we're not approved for any exhaust fans, we can operate just the way it is, and we can turn everything on and let it just run inside the building, and we can take a measurement and see what it is there. And then as the summer has warmed up, I've also considered that we may need to install exhaust fans, and would like to find out what the zoning regulations are on if we wanted to install exhaust fans.
Anybody in the audience here to speak for or against? Please come up to the microphone and state your name and address.
Andrea Cotton, address is 1708 Logan Avenue. And I'd like to say that if Mr. Romano had anything going, we are directly across the railroad tracks from him, and we haven't heard anything. I've never heard a humming, but I haven't been to the back for a while. It's busy. You know, more concerned about that train that rushes through at night. You know, that really raises the ruckus. But just, I haven't heard anything. I haven't been made aware, and I'm outside quite a bit with my garden, so I don't hear anything. So.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience to speak for or against?
Matt Zelich, 2213 East Main Street. I share a building with him, and although it's kind of detached, there's no noise, so I find it nearly impossible, if anything is on, I don't know when he's talking about fans or anything coming in the future, maybe it'd be a little louder, but as of now, if whatever, there's nothing, and I'm attached.
He's not operating.
So, well, I said the PCs were on earlier in this meeting.
He said he's not operating.
So, I probably won't be concerned, but I don't know.
Do you have that adjacent building that's kind of a residential looking?
No.
You're in that same complex? Okay. May I ask what your business is in the building?
We just store all our overflow stuff in there.
Okay.
Try to clean up by the shop a little bit and everything. Stuff we can't fit there. But, yeah, just trying to support the local entrepreneur, you know, or keep it going. I think everybody should be allowed to try, you know. But, you know, we do have to, there is a process. Thank you.
Yeah, this is Frank Romano speaking again. All that I'm asking for is that we be given a chance to try operating, and be more than happy to agree to any kind of stipulations regarding if there are any noise complaints, any issues at all. You know, I will sign away whatever rights to the zoning or the conditional use permit that we would immediately shut down if that was an issue.
Renee Frederick, 1600 Logan Avenue. My question is exactly what's happening at this business. So, you know, I support small business totally, but I'm just dying of curiosity to know exactly what you're going to be doing in there. Thanks.
Sure. So our operation would be we have customers who purchase cryptocurrency mining computers, and they either purchase them through me or through another company. They send them to me. And then on my end, the work that I do is I set up all the electrical, the internet, and the security, and then manage making sure that they stay online so that those machines are making the customer their cryptocurrency that they're mining with their computers, and I take a small fee for managing that for them. So it's kind of like a storage center for computers that are running.
Mr. Romano?
Yes.
Yeah, Steve Sabatke again. So it's not data mining, you're Bitcoin mining?
So data mining, Bitcoin mining, cryptocurrency mining. We're a hosting company, so it's a bunch of different. I have customers that are interested in a bunch of different things. So the first thing we started out with was data mining, meaning like SEO optimization, which is search engine optimization. So mining through a bunch of internet data to try to find better ways for people that have websites to run their website. And then additionally, there are customers who are using their computers for both either data mining and then in the downtime, they're also using them for cryptocurrency mining or Bitcoin mining.
Is it safe to say that the more computers you have, the more successful you would be in Bitcoin mining? Frank?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you know,
my costs are fixed. So my internet cost is fixed. My rent is fixed. My labor. So far I'm not paying myself anything. And then outside of that, yeah, the more that I would be able to run, the more money I could potentially make.
Okay, another question.
The building has a limited capacity as far as electricity goes.
Another question then, the more computers you have, the more heat you generate and more fans are needed. Would that be correct?
Yes, that would be correct.
And it's the fans that are the major source of noise pollution?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's a big building. What's to prevent you from expanding into, thousands of computers? And I know some Bitcoin operations have thousands of computers.
Right. So at that location, the transformer that is outside the building is not rated for any more than a couple hundred machines. So I can't really expand at that location any more than just a couple hundred machines inside of the center of the 30,000 square foot building that we're in.
Is it also true these computers run 24 hours a day?
No, that's incorrect. So the computers run depending on the customer. So some customers want to ramp them down depending on the cost of electricity. So the price of electricity goes up and down depending on the time of use. And WPS has different plans for how they do that. So some have set up so that they run only overnight. Some of them are running 24 hours, and then some of them are running intermittently, except for when there's what's called a critical peak alert, where the cost of the electricity goes up. So then we curb our demand, and we would shut everything down to make sure that WPS has enough power for stuff like air conditioning for residents.
In closing, I'll say that in preparation for this meeting, I watched YouTube videos, and there's some major Bitcoin mining operations that have upset their neighbors severely, where they're wearing earplugs when they're sitting out on the lawn, and they claim their property values have gone down. So understand our concern that some of these operations are very noisy, so we're skeptical, and I'm not sure if I'm ready to support this yet.
Okay.
Mr.
What
This is
are we able to? Sorry, go ahead.
This is Darren Potter, building inspector again. What would stop you though from updating the electrical service or the transformer in order to gain more power in a building such as that, and then add more compute?
So we would have in order to do that, we would need a building inspector to approve that. So it's not something that I could just do on my own, where I could just buy a transformer and hook it up myself.
That's not what I was asking. You can get a commercial electrical building permit to do such a thing. What work have you done electrically in the building to date?
We haven't done anything in the building to date outside of just moving our equipment in anticipation of being able to operate. So there's been no, the transformer is still the same transformer that was there before while the plant was operating previously.
But my question was, what have you done any work in the building electrically other than the transformer that you mentioned to get ready for your operation?
Oh, yeah, so I have some racks, so basically like shelving units and power distribution units, which are kind of like large power strips. And just wiring for some internal fans, like just blowing heat so that while we're in there, when there's no air conditioning, we can stay cool.
Have you gotten permits for that?
I don't think that those require permits, as far as I know.
You would be
so it's
incorrect.
basically just a large power strip. I don't believe that it requires a permit, but I guess I could be wrong.
Any wiring requires a permit, and now it requires a commercial electrical permit from the state for expansion.
So for you're saying for me to plug in a power strip to a plug that's already there requires a permit?
It sounded like you did more than that. So you just plugged the power strip into an existing outlet that was there in the factory. You did nothing else.
So they're different. I mean, they're not. It's not a normal power strip. It's a larger power strip. So the wire on it is a lot bigger than the normal size. But other than that, there was no upgrading to any of the large wiring coming into the building or anything like that.
That's not what I asked. I asked you if you plugged into the existing power that was in the building just like it was without doing any changes to it.
Yes, that's correct.
So nothing has been done other than the original wiring that was there. So you plugged into existing receptacles and all of that.
Well, and everything is sitting there ready to go. So it's all ready to be ready to. It says ready to get approved. I have all of the equipment that we need ready to go, and I guess the electrician said that we could be getting the building inspection permits and all that stuff. So
your use, does that have any effect on the internet and traffic on the internet? Bandwidth?
No. So the amount of internet that we're using is the same amount as a single residential address. We have 30 megabytes per second through Spectrum Business to fiber connection. And it would not impact anybody else's internet in any negative way. It's a very, the data mining operation is very computer intensive, but not very internet intensive. So it uses a lot of CPU power.
So you have a pretty high power demand then?
Sorry?
You have a very high power demand, electricity demand.
Yeah, so we have, the demand is no higher than the previous plant was using. So it's high compared to maybe like a restaurant, but it's no higher than the Semco plant that was there before. And that's what I was trying to say, as far as without installing any kind of additional exterior transformer, there's no additional power that's going to be coming into the building that's larger than it was when the Semco plant was operating.
How many square feet are you leasing?
27,000.
Do you have any idea what, I might have to ask Mr. Sumling this, do you know what the total square footage of the building is?
It's 150.
I believe the entire building is 150,000 square feet, separated out into 5 buildings, and they're roughly all the same size. So they're 30,000 each or so, maybe 25, maybe 32, but in that range.
So with what you said, you're using roughly the same power in 27,000 square feet as what was used in 150,000 square feet.
No, I'm saying that the power that was set up for 150,000 square feet is available for the entire building, and we're using a part of that. And I'm just saying that there's that we're not using any more than our 1/5 of that because the other tenants also need their electricity.
I have a question for our building inspector here. We do have an ordinance for noise, and would there be some way to test the maximum decibels allowed out of this structure and have the neighbors listen to it before we continue? Because I don't want to take the phone calls if people say this thing's making noise.
Yeah, and I don't know, honestly, the police department in the past has done noise complaint issues, and Chief Bennett is here if you have any questions.
Yeah, I called, I believe we do have a device for
Yeah, the police department does.
stereos mostly and for other things, so.
The whole thing is though, Steve, I think he would have to be up and running and have the electrician come in and do all this. And he's not gonna, I know it's not fair to ask him to put all the money into it and be up and running and then us say no.
We're gonna need assurances for the neighbors, because that's, I mean, there's, you know.
Chief Bennett.
What we've done in the past when we run into it, typically it's another factory in town, and we find them not in compliance. It's a series of communications until we get them in compliance, and they have to make corrections, and they are expensive. But that's typically what we do, is keep pushing to get them in compliance. With that particular location, it's going to be challenging because there's no noise block to the north in that residential neighborhood. And the river on the south will transfer sound up and down the river.
Yeah, the ordinance does say that you have to be in a clear area, unobstructed, and by the property line that's closest.
Nearest adjacent property line, they get approximately 10 decibels more than the residential area.
Yeah.
And then there's a difference in the night measurement versus the day measurement.
Sure. You know, I don't want to discourage any business coming in, but you know, we don't want this our neighbors upset, and it could affect property values even for the neighborhood.
Sure. Yep. So what can I do on my end to assure you that we will, if there are any noise complaints, that we will, shut it down?
Mr. Ryman, did you have a comment? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Linda.
I thought I turned this off. Sorry.
My name is Linda, I'm Alderman on City Council. I came here with an open mind and hoping to hear some good information about this prospect. If I'm understanding things right, this is supposed to be the first meeting to discuss approving something like this taking place, but it appears that the occupant has already moved in. And that to me, as an alderman, is a big red flag because we have procedures, we have orders that we're supposed to follow to do these things. And if we do it for one, there will be 2, 3, 4 showing up to have us do it for them too. And so that's my concern in just sharing that with you all.
Thank you. Mr. Ryman, did you?
Mr. Romano, do you have any experience with, you said a couple hundred computers, any experience with what sound that would generate to have the appropriate exhaust fans?
You're asking, do I have an experience with what exhaust fans would generate?
The exhaust fans with the computers and everything else, what? That right, Mr. Ryman?
Yeah, how much noise would be coming out of there? Do you have any experience with that? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I believe when we talked about the previous industrial zoning regulation regarding decibels was something like 70 at 100 feet, or if somebody can remind me, that would be great. And I, when I was looking at the exhaust fans to purchase, I was able to find fans that would fit within those requirements.
Mr. Romano, the ordinance says for commercial, 85 decibels during the day, 75 at night for.
And that's is that at 100 feet, 100 yards, or at the closest property line?
The property line that would be closest to the railroad track, unobstructed by trees or anything, so it'd have to be a clear view to your factory, which pretty much is all the way.
Okay. So from everything that I saw when I researched these fans, because I do know that this is a potential issue with other operations like this, and a lot of distributors are trying to sell fans that operate at a quieter level. So that's what I have been looking at, and I can't imagine that we're going to be above 70 at all, and I would assume it's actually going to be more like 65. And I'm just wondering what we can do to agree on following the. So I guess what I'm saying is, if I wanted to reopen the Semco plant and was cutting wood and having it be, maybe loud during the day and quieter during the night, there wouldn't be any issue. And I'm just asking that we can follow that same regulation.
That's already permitted use. This is a conditional use.
Steve, I
Yeah,
got a
the
question.
manufacturing that was previously there was a permitted use, which allows it under the permitted uses in the zoning code. This is a conditional use, that's why we're here.
Right. Right.
Mr. Stern?
I'm a little confused about this.
So are you able to,
Hold on, Mr. Romano, we got a member speaking.
I'm a little confused about this wiring problem that, you know, did he make changes? Is he going to make changes? The transformers can be changed. What's to keep him from changing that? If he did change the wiring in there, she makes a valid point. He moved in, changed things. What are we gonna do about it?
I guess,
Can we go
I was
in?
assuming that it would be some kind of a fine and an eviction if I were outside of outside of following what we're supposed to be doing. The only reason that I moved in was because when I found the building and saw that it was listed as industrial, it was zoned as industrial, and I mean, the realtor that I talked to, I guess I was incorrect, but the realtor that I talked to told me that it was zoned industrial and that there would be no issue. Otherwise, I would have talked to the city first.
Well, Mr. Romano, even when you found out that there was an issue back in October of last year, it took until June to have the hearing. Why is that?
Well, that's because I moved and have not really I haven't been focusing on that part of the business, or that business. I also I have another full-time job. I'm a restaurant manager, and so I'm kind of trying to balance two jobs along with, I have 6 children, and I just made some mistakes and sending emails, and I thought I had gotten it done, and so there was no reason other than just my own family life and second job getting in the way.
Is there anybody else here to speak for or against?
Mr. Romano, what part of the Simcoe building are you currently in? Is it the one that is all the way to the east?
We're in the centralmost building.
Okay. I guess I'm just wondering if...
Which I don't.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I was as I was looking at the building, thinking that I knew that there would be potential. I wanted to make sure that it wasn't too loud. So the centralmost building has the most other buildings around it blocking it. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so you are not where the loading doors are, or are you?
I'm sorry? There's loading doors all over the building.
Oh, okay.
I think there's like 18 different loading docks.
I guess what I'm thinking is there any way you can put the fan on the east side, which is just an empty lot, and then maybe that noise wouldn't be, towards the north or towards the south? At least one fan? Because I know when Semco was running too, a lot of times you could hear them cutting the wood, and it was very loud. It kind of squealed, so I can't imagine him making any more noise than that. And I'm not trying to fight here, I'm just saying, for
Right.
his benefit, Semco is kind of
Right.
loud too sometimes.
Yep. No, and we could certainly test that out. If we're willing to approve this, I would be happy to test out putting the fans in different locations to make sure that we're compliant.
Again, from your experience, is Mr. Ryman, you again, is there a difference? Is there a big difference by the temperature outside? I'm guessing yes. I mean, if it's mainly hot days where you have to run your fans, or is it all the time?
Yeah, so when the fans would have a temperature controller on them so that they would only be running on the hottest of hot days, and otherwise would be not running to save electricity.
Mr. Romano, this is Steve Sabatke again. I'm going to suggest a procedure. It appears to me that you need to meet with our building inspector. There are some issues to be worked out there. And then possibly we put this on the agenda for next meeting. And I think also we're going to have to discuss some sort of test running at 85 decibels and then get some input from the neighbors. Maybe give them a notification as to when the test is being run. Would you consider that, or do you have another idea?
Yeah, sure. I would absolutely consider that. If you're saying run a test where we run some fans, or what exactly would you like to test? Or like, are you talking about like a speaker?
I don't know. I would think if you get a good enough stereo system, you could run, the noise that's going to be equivalent to fans running. I don't know, but I believe you have to get over some hurdles to the building inspector first. It sounds like there's some issues.
Okay. So, and so who's the building inspector, and then when would they need to come into? Are they inspecting the building for fire, or what are they doing?
This is Darren Poggle. I'm the building inspector and zoning administrator that you've been dealing with. I want to see what's done, and honestly, I want to see what's there. Because I've been told multiple different stories about first you're not operating, and then you are operating by other people, and so I would like to see what's there, first of all.
Okay, sure.
To see what has been done, because
Yeah,
I haven't had a clear answer of what's actually going on there at this point.
Okay. We can definitely do that.
Is it open tonight?
No, it's not. I'm not in the area tonight, but I could definitely come out. Let's see. Potentially Thursday or Friday.
Thursday would work.
Okay.
Is the
Let me double check my schedule before I commit to a time on that.
You have another-
But I can email you as soon as we're done with the hearing here.
We got another speaker, Mr. Frederick.
Todd Frederick, 1600 Logan Avenue. So with all these computers running, you're going to need air conditioning too, I would assume, along with the fans. And when you say electricity is cheap, that you're going to run when it's less expensive, being a manufacturer, that means in the evening. So my concern is, even though 75 decibels in the evening, right?
Yeah, yes,
right?
yes.
If you measure that at 9 or 10 o'clock in the evening, that's pretty loud. And I'm right across the street. So, I'm a little concerned about, not only the fans, but the AC and all the other noise that's going to be coming out of there. So combining all of that is a concern for evenings. I don't want to see anybody, I want to see business grow, I do. But we just invested heavily into that property. And that concerns me. In addition to that, most electrical components such as fans have a listed dB rating, so I think you can determine what that's going to be. And
Yeah,
then
I do.
at 75 dB.
I have specifications on those.
Right.
But additionally, we're not going to be running any air conditioning because the cost of air conditioning is outweighs the benefits of the computers running. So there won't be any air conditioning running. It'll just be exhaust fans just exhausting the air inside the building to the outside. So there won't be any. And then our WPS we're not on we don't have a time of use specific. So we have a few clients that have something like that. But the overall is that we have one electric rate, and then when there's a critical peak alert, the price of the electricity goes up for between 3 and 8 hours, and we would then shut down during that time. Otherwise, the cost of electricity goes from 6 cents to 40 cents per kilowatt hour. But no, there will not be any air conditioning.
Anything else?
We don't need to have a vote on this, and just bring it up at the next meeting.
Well, I mean, if the committee, I want to know what the committee feels. Yeah, we need to close the hearing at this point.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Second. Unless anybody else wants to speak before we close.
I do have one more question.
Okay.
Mr. Romano, this is without a permanent again. Do your potential clients know, are they made aware that you do not air condition that? Because my husband's worked in computers and server rooms for 30 years, and there's not a single one of them that is not air conditioned with 10 servers running, let alone hundreds of them.
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. I mean, there is no air conditioning in that building as it is, and we're not going to be installing any. The computers, the data mining and cryptocurrency mining computers can run at an ambient air temperature of up to 95 to 100 degrees. So it's a different type of computer that doesn't require the same kind of cooling.
Okay, just asking.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to close the hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The hearing is closed. Discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, do we need to vote on a proposal to postpone this to the next meeting with understanding that he'll meet with the building inspector? We'll get assurances from him. Do we got to get over that hurdle?
Well, yeah, but I want to, before we do that, I guess I want to hear if there's any other members in the committee that have a strong opposition to doing it, or if they have anything else they want to add.
I guess as the Parks and Rec representative, I would be pretty opposed to having quite a noisy operation near the trail there. I feel like it'd be kind of a distraction from the relaxation aspect of the trail.
Mr. Mayor, I'm uncomfortable making a decision tonight based on the conflicting pieces of information we've received. I would rather have it postponed until next meeting when Mr. Romano has a chance to meet with the building inspector and we are able to get some specifics answered.
And I have a question. Are there any other concerns besides the noise? I mean,
I guess if you, I don't know if you researched any of this, what I have heard is that when a mining situation like this is in operation, it's like a jet sitting on a tarmac with the engine wound up. That's a big concern of mine. I think that the power grid down there is another huge concern of mine, if it's going to be able to support that. And I mean, I don't know. It's up to the committee what you guys feel, but I'm not leaning towards this at all.
Your Honor.
Yes.
I've got a question for Mr. Semling, I think he's here.
Yep,
Is that building sprinkled?
yes,
And the sprinkler is all in operation even though it's mainly unoccupied, or?
yes, it is in operation.
Thank you.
For insurance purposes, it has to be.
Oh, due to the size of the building?
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess, is that the committee's pleasure? Do you want to postpone until the next meeting to have more information?
Yeah.
So Darren, you're going to meet on Thursday,
Yeah, I can set something up with Mr. Romano for Thursday.
so then we
No
can,
objection.
without objection, we'll refer this to the next city planning commission meeting, which would be in July. Does that work for everybody here?
Is there any additional info we can get on the power grid?
I guess we don't know how many
What?
computers and things like that are, and how much it's gonna be pulling. I don't know. Maybe we can talk public service or anything, or? Okay. We'll try to get something to bring back to.
The other thing we need to check also is it's a much higher intensity type of use than what a factory is or something like that. So I'm not sure, I have not dealt with these a lot, if the state has different requirements for that expansive computer room too, when it comes to fire protection and occupancy separations and things of that nature. Mr. Zellish that was in here, you heard him, he stores overflow, so he's storing vehicles in close proximity. And Mr. Semling, do you know, is there any firewall protection between the two areas that are being used?
Yeah, those are two separate buildings.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that would give me time to check that also.
Can I make another comment?
I don't know, it's just a thought that crossed my mind, but with all of these computers running, is there a frequency issue that possibly could interfere with communications, airwave things going on, you know, the hospital across the river and like that? This is just something to throw in consideration.
It's all pretty new to us.
Said he's on fiber optic.
All right, so I guess we have a motion, or we have a referral to the next city plan meeting. We'll just, once Darren gets inspected in there, I'll notify everybody in the commission.
Mr. Romano, you have my email. If you could email me tomorrow, with some times that you'll be available on Thursday,
Sure.
we can set something up.
Okay,
Thank you.
sounds good. You're welcome. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Next item on the agenda, we have continued discussion of conditional use application form. You have anything to add?
At your last meeting, we had discussed a little bit about making some changes with the conditional use form. If you look, mainly it's the second page. I took out some old things that were in there that didn't really apply anymore and added some new things that the board, the plan commission seemed to be leaning more towards when they've been reviewing their conditional uses. And if you have no issue with this, we will use this as a future application.
Any concerns?
No. Yeah, I mean, no.
We need to approve that, or?
No, it's just public comment period. Public comment period. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I will second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.